Right now, we want to look at how to interpret the gradients and intercept of real life graphs. When we say real life graphs, we mean we're talking about situations that we go through every day. All real life graphs can be used to estimate or to read off values. The actual meaning of the values will depend on the labels and the unit on each axis, and sometimes the gradient of the line or curve has a particular meaning. Also, the intercept, the y-intercept, where the graph crosses the vertical axis, has a particular meaning as well. And the area under the graph also will have a particular meaning. For example, if we have this, let me cut off the top and you know, if we have this like a graph, okay, and we plot a line here, can you see this? So this line passing through the point of intersection, which is called origin, has a meaning. But if the line did not pass through there, if it passed through another spot, like let's say here, okay, it also has a meaning. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
And if yet it still passed through another place, like this, it also has its meaning. So what we're trying to say is that there'll be a value for the vertical and there'll be another value for the horizontal. So the meaning of this graph will be determined by the units on the axis. Okay. Yeah. So for example, we can have a graph that shows the cost of petrol. Okay.
Okay.
So if you are asked to plot the graph that shows the cost of petrol, this graph has to pass through the origin because if you buy no petrol, are you going to pay any money?
No.
Aha. So if you don't buy any particular liters, you don't pay any money. So when the input is zero, the output must also be zero. So it has to pass through the origin 0, comma 0. Okay.
Okay.
So we can we can use this kind of graph. Let me bring something here. It's an example. You can use this kind of graph for cost and liters of fuel. Okay.
Okay.
Cost and liter of fuel. So this graph that I've brought here shows the cost of petrol. It shows 20 liters will cost 23 pounds, or let's say 15 pounds will buy 13 liters of fuel if we check it on the graph. Okay,
Okay.
so this is the interpretation of this graph. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Since we can see the units on the graph, the unit on the left is the amount, okay?
Okay.
Amount, that is the cost, which is pounds. Then the unit on the at the bottom is liters, which is the volume of fuel, okay?
Okay.
Volume of fuel about. So if it is zero, you can see it passed through zero, right?
Mm-hmm.
It passes through zero. So if you don't buy any liters, then you pay no money. That's the meaning. Then if you trace it, if you pay uh, 15 pounds, maybe before 16 is 15, then you're going to buy something around 13 liters. Or is it 13 now? This should be more than 13. This should be 15 liters, okay?
Okay.
That's below. So let me correct that to 15. 15. Okay.
Okay.
So if you pay, wait a minute. If you want to buy 15 liters, that's below 16. Then you're going to pay something, not even, this is 10, 12, 14. Then this should be 13. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's correct. The liter is here. So it is 15 pounds before 16 that will buy these 13 liters before 14. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
So 13 liter is at this point, while 15 pound is somewhere here. Okay, good. Then the other thing that the other one that we can see here, 20 liters will be purchased for around 23 pounds. Okay, so at here we have 23, then at here we have 20 liters. So that is an interpretation. Okay,
Okay.
so you could be given any graph to actually interpret. And that's the topic we're looking at. Say interpretation. The first thing we looked at was perpendicular lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for any line to be perpendicular, they must meet at 90 degrees, okay?
Okay.
Right? Which is here. They must meet at 90 degrees. If they do not meet, they are parallel. If two lines go side by side and they don't meet, they're parallel. But if they meet at just a random angle, they are just intersecting, okay? They're just intersecting. But if they meet at definite angle 90, you know, each of these angle 90 here, 90, another 90, another 90. So each of them 90, 90, that is perpendicular. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, but this one now, we're talking about interpreting gradients and intercept. So that is about intercept. Now let us talk about the gradient of this particular graph. What do we mean when we're talking about gradient? We're talking about rise over run, change up over change to the right. Now let us check the change up between these two values, 23, and or let's pick the 23. If we pick 23 as our change up, then we'll pick 20 as our change down. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So if we're going to use 2 points, let's say we're using point 0 and 23. So from the bottom to 23, we have to change up the graph to be y2 minus y1, which is 23 minus 0. Then change to the right is 0 to 20. That is 20 minus 0, which is 23 over 20. And this gives 1.15. Okay. And this is what we know as gradient. Is that clear?
Yeah.
This is what we know as gradient. So with this, if you're going to put this down, you're just going to draw the line and just identify the 2 points, the three major points, or maybe that zero point 0.0, then this 15 and 13, then this 23 and 20. Then you write a equation for this gradient. Then it shows that the cost per liter of petrol cost 1.15 pounds. Okay,
Okay.
so that is the interpretation, the meaning of this gradient. The meaning of The gradient of this, it means that uh, the cost per liter of fuel, you know, of petrol, is 1.15 pounds. That is, it also shows that 0 liter of fuel will cost £0. Okay, exactly.
Okay.
So if you don't buy
Yeah.
any liters, you don't pay any amount. So this is the interpretation of this graph. Okay,
Okay.
so 0 liters cost zero, then 1 liter cost 1.5, then 10 liters is going to cost 11.5. Okay,
Okay.
then 100 liters, you just multiply this amount by 100. Okay, that will be 115 pounds. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll give you some time to put down this graph. Okay.
Can you make the graph bigger because I can't see it properly?
Okay. I'm gonna make it bigger. Let me try to. Okay. Can you see it a little bit now?
Yeah.
Okay. So once you are through with this graph, then I'll move it down so that you can see the bottom page. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you know the topic, right?
Yeah.
What's the topic? Interpreting gradients and intercept of real life
Hey,
graph. Can you
let me
see
write
it?
it down. Let me write that down.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Interpret
Then after that, we'll continue
gradient. Come down.
with this. Okay. So here's another graph, and this graph shows the cost of hiring a ladder for various number of days. If you look at it, unlike the previous graph that passed through the origin, okay, this one didn't pass through the origin. It cut the axis at zero point 0.7 exactly at
Yeah.
the seventh mark. So it cut the axis here. Let me try and rule this out. So you see it cut the axis here. At this point, we have 7. That is £7, okay? 7.0 pounds. Now, to get the gradient of this, we can follow this triangle, okay? This particular shape. Exactly. Picking 2 points on the graph, which is the gradient. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, gradient
Can
equals to
you
change in y over change in x. That is change in the cost over change in the days. Okay. And if you look at this, this is going to give us cost per day. Okay. Cost per day. Now, the point at the top is going to be our second value, like y2, x2. So the x2 will be 9 here for 9 days, while the y2 will be the cost of the 9 days, which is 34. And the point at the bottom will be our first point, which is x1, y1. X1 is for 1 day, okay? So x1 equal to 1 and y1 is 10. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Y1 is 10. So if you now want to find this gradient, it implies that we can say y2 minus y1, I mean, yeah, over x2 minus x1. What's our y2? That's 34. Okay. And y1 is 10. What's our x2? That is 9. Then x1 is 1. So the gradient, and the symbol for gradient is always m, okay? 34 minus 10, that is
Hello?
what? 24. Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can
okay.
you hear me now? Okay, good. So 9 minus 1 is 8. So the gradient is going to be 3 pounds per day, okay? 3 pounds per day. And this gradient has been able to show us the cost of renting uh, or hiring the ladder for 1 day. Is that clear?
Yeah.
But the graph didn't start from the origin. That means before before you can use it for a day, maybe there is a certain amount of money to be paid down. So what we have is that the gradient shows that it costs 3 pounds per day to hire the ladder. Then the graph crosses the y-axis vertical at 0.7. So this shows that there is an additional cost of 7 pounds on top of the 3 pounds per day. So this might be a delivery charge or something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, the number of days, then plus the 7. Okay. The cost
Yeah.
for the number of days, then plus the 7. So that is the interpretation of this graph. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you some time to put this down. Okay. I want to look at these simple questions because that was our previous assignment before we started looking into interpreting graphs. This question J says 10a plus 40 equal to 100. Now, we will see that only one of the out of the three numbers, only one of them has a letter J. I mean letter A rather. So we leave it alone because it's not like the rest. It has alphabet. But the ones that doesn't have alphabet, the 100 and the 40, we pack them together. Okay. But the 40 was positive. It will become negative when it's going to meet 100. So that means 10a equal to what? 60, right? Where did the 60 come from? 100 minus 40. Okay. Is that clear? Yeah. So now I divide both sides by
Yeah.
10, divided by 10. Then this is going to be 60 over 10. That is 6. So A is 6. And it makes sense if you say 10 times 6, that's 60, plus 40 gives us 100. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then the second one, 9x minus 24 equal to 84. So the 24 doesn't have alphabet. So So 9x will be alone. 84 will be here. 24 is coming out and become positive 24. So 9x equal to 108. Then I will divide both sides by the 9, okay?
Okay.
So x is going to be 12 because 9 times 12 is 108. And the next one, 7w, that's option L. 7w plus 1 equal to 1. So if we take the 1 out, it will be 1 minus 1, that is 0. So 7w equal to 1 minus 1. And 7w is 0. So that means w must be 0, okay?
Okay.
Because we can't multiply two numbers and now get 0 if one of them is not 0. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Then m, we have 6x minus 19 equal to 5. So this 19 is going out to meet the 5. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Then we have 6x equals to 5 plus 19. 6x now equals to, what is 5 plus 19? That's 24. Then x will be 24 over 6. X will be 4. Okay.
Okay.
Then the next one, let me just move this to the bottom again. Once we're through with this set of questions, we'll close for the
No,
day. Okay.
I'll go through all the questions.
You said
I will go through all the questions.
these questions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So once I finish everything, I'll just send them to you. You're not writing them now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so n says 3w plus 4 equal to 43. Now you can see 4 and 43 have no w, so 3w should be alone. 43 minus 4 because it's going to become minus when it's coming outside, okay? So 3w will be 39 if you remove this. Then you divide both sides by 3 because 3 is beside w. So we have w equal to 13. Then the next one, which is number the option O. This option O says x. This is why I want to solve this so that when you encounter it, okay,
Okay.
it's a fraction, but it's not. There's no big deal with this. The same method. Just take the one to go and make this, okay? So we have x over 3 equal to 5 minus 1. Because it's plus 1, it was plus 1, it becomes minus 1. So x over 3 equal to 4. What number will you divide by 3 to give you 4? That should be 12. Yes or no?
Yes.
So that means we can cross multiply 1 times x and 3 times 4. 1 times x is x, 3 times 4 is 12. So x equal to 12. Is that clear to you?
Yes.
Okay, let's do this other one. P. We have c over 2 minus 4 equal to 6. Don't you think minus 4 will go and become plus 4, right? So c over
Yeah.
2 is 6 plus 4. Then c over 2 is 10. What number will you divide by 2 to give you 10? That should be 20. Yes or no?
Yes.
So 1 times c is c and 2 times 10 is 20. Is that clear to you?
Yeah.
So remain just 2. Now this option Q, we have x over 10 plus 3 equal 9. What will happen next? 3 is going to go out, yes or no?
Yeah.
So x over 10 will give me 9 minus 3 because it was plus 3. Then x over 10, what is 9 minus 3? That's 6. So what number will you divide by 10 to get 6? That number should be 60. So this times this and this times this. 1 times x is x and 10 times 6 is 60. Is that clear? Then to the
Yeah.
final one. To the final one before I send you this. That is R. We have n over 9 minus 8 equal 1. So what will happen? What do you think should happen now? The negative 8 should go out, right?
Yeah.
So that will become what?
Then
1
the
plus
negative 8
8.
becomes to positive,
Yeah, good. Then we can say n over 9
which is
equal to
9.
9. So what number will you divide by 9 to give you 9? That should be 81, right? So 1 times n is n. Then 9 times 9 is what?
It's 81.
Is this clear to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just quickly send all of these notes to you so that you'll be able to, study through them exactly.
Yeah.
But that's where we'll run for today. So